Sofía Paredes Chaux walked away from her dream career with the United Nations when she realized she wasn't really living the dream anymore. In today's episode, we're talking about her own transformation as she pivoted to becoming a life coach, where she now supports people all over the world in aligning with their values and actually living from them. Sofía shares her insights on how to navigate change, especially with those closest to us. She also shares how to stop repeating destructive cycles and how to begin the deep work of getting to know yourself. Welcome to today's episode of the Unemployment Diaries. So last time we spoke, you were finishing up your master's in social innovation and entrepreneurship, and I know that because I was there. You were going back to Colombia to head up an accelerator lab with the UN. And since then, life has changed a little bit, and it seems that you've gone from international development to self-development. So What's happened in the last few years?
A lot has been happening. I entered UNDP to work in the accelerator labs, and I was feeling blessed and feeling in the correct place in what I have been dreaming all my life to do. But then the pandemic came, and I think in that moment something shifted in me, in my priorities, in my desires, in the things I really wanted. I start feeling tired, feeling drained, realizing perhaps some toxic behaviors in myself, in the workplace. I have been working for 8 years, like things that became so clear and so obvious that start not resonating with me anymore. Not because they were bad, but because they were not what I was looking for. So at the end of the pandemic in 2020, we start having conversation with my husband to having a child. And we start thinking, okay, how is gonna look like? How do I see myself as a mother? How do you see yourself as a father? How do we see ourselves as a family? And in 2021, we got pregnant. And for me, in that moment, I start asking myself, okay, if this kid is born right now, the things I want to teach him or the things I want to show it to him, I am living that life that I want for him, or it's just a narrative and story that I'm going to tell. And I start saying, I'm not. So in that moment, I say, okay, this is an invitation for coherence, for alignment, for saying, okay, the things I want to show him, I want to have them for myself as well, because I want to have them for myself. It's not only to show him how to do it, but because I also want to feel that way. So in that moment, I started my process with my first coach. It was a person and a woman that I wanted to walk through this moment that feel really challenging for me, because I knew it was a moment that a lot was going to change. And it was a moment that felt uncertain, because I really didn't know what was going to happen once Noah, my baby, was born. But I really knew that I didn't want the same life for me anymore, that I want changes. But I didn't know what changes or how to walk that walk. So I started walking this talk with my coach during my pregnancy. And then Noah came to this world. And when I came back to the office, I was not there anymore, meaning my heart was in another place. I didn't want to go back to the job because I didn't feel connected to the vision, to the purpose. I started feeling that I wanted something different for me. And I remember my coach telling me, okay, if you can just start doing a list of things you wouldn't believe people are gonna pay you for. And when I started doing that list, something resonated with me about being a coach and a mentor. So I started saying, okay, I am really good talking with people, hearing people, but I haven't learned it. I haven't studied that. So in that moment, my traditional mind came in and says, you have to study this. You have to have a certificate. Otherwise, why are gonna people pay you for if they don't see the certificate? And I remember having this conversation okay, I don't need a certificate. If someone needs a certificate from me, perhaps they are not my clients, and that's fine. I'm gonna just study the things I want to study and learn in a more informal way, not in a traditional way. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna do my programs, I'm gonna learn from coaches, mentors. I'm gonna go deep in this because I really love it, but not because I have to. And I remember that in December of 2022, Noah was turning 1. I read a post of a woman that was doing a program that says, if you have in your heart the true desire of serving people, this is for you. And I was like, oh, that is for me. I want to serve people. I have always wanted to serve people. That's why I work at United Nations for so many years. And I remember that when I started that program, it was about a past life and ancestral healing therapies. And I was like, what is this? I'm not sure. But I had paid for it. So I say, okay, I'm just going to do it. The worst thing that can happen is that I learned something. I'm sorry, I didn't say. I stopped working at UNDP, left my known life for the past 8 years. I left it behind and I say, okay, I'm going to open for the new. So I entered to this program, and I remember after the first day of training, I was like, I'm just remembering. This is what I have always known for me. And I loved everything they talked about. And I was like, this is for me. You don't know why, but you feel it's correct for you. Like, this is where I have to be. I don't have to be anywhere else. And the first year was like a year of experimentation. I didn't know where to go, but when I felt an idea, I just followed through. Like, oof, this is a good idea. What happened? I don't care what happened. I just want to do it to test myself and to see I can do it. It was just those moments in which you only want to learn and you are open for anything. And then I began to have a coaching and mentoring business. I began with the energetic reprogramming, working with people, with their unconscious, with their conscious, with their life, with their career paths. And within that process, you're gonna start identifying limiting beliefs, healing your past life, healing your family, healing your wounds, getting liberating from narratives that are sabotaging yourself, and just walking that path. Why? Because I have been walking that path in my life. The things I accompany people for are things that I have been accompanying or I have been doing for myself for 4 years now. So for me, it was okay. If this has been feeling so much lighter, so much connection, so much real for me, I want to invite other people to feel it. This is available for everyone. You just have to choose it. It's not easy, but it's not also difficult. It's just uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, because you have to unlearn to learn new things. So that has been my process for these past years.
How do you differentiate between something just being uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and therefore you're nervous about it, versus something actually being wrong or maybe an unwise decision?
So first of all, in my understanding of life, there are no mistakes, there are no failures, because if X or Y happened to you, it's because that was needed for you. Your soul really needed that thing to happen. So really, even if you think there are mistakes, in an unconscious or conscious way, you choose it. So if you keep saying to yourself, this was a mistake, the only thing you're gonna do is resist to life and resist to the learning. But when you say there are no mistakes, anything that happens in your life is in your favor, even though it feels difficult or challenging, even though it feels like pain, even though it makes you feel sad. Because we tend to tag emotions as positive or negative. But actually, emotions are not positive or negative. Emotions are natural to humans. We are here to feel. And there are some emotions that feel comfortable and some emotions that feel uncomfortable. They are here for you to learn. So I don't think there are mistakes. So now, how can you start learning to communicate with your body and with your intuition? That's another part. First of all, I think we have to start learning about the different ways we communicate with ourselves, with our soul, with our mind, with our body. So in the physical realm, our system can be regulated or unregulated, the nervous system. And when you feel unregulated, that not necessarily means that you are taking a bad choice. That perhaps means that your body feels alert to something that has lived on the past. Perhaps because it's something that on the past has been feeling not right for me. But that doesn't mean it's not right now. It's just that on the past, when I have opened my heart to love, it has been painful. So now I shut my heart. So when I want to love someone new, my body's gonna say, no, don't love. Remember, that is painful. But that doesn't mean that loving that person is bad. It just means that for my nervous system has been painful in other situations. So first of all is to understand the nervous system and to understand how to heal and co-regulate and regulate your nervous system in order to see, okay, body, I can see that we are having an uncomfortable situation. I think that is the part that you became aware of yourself and you became aware of your body. My body is talking, but not necessarily because it's saying that I shouldn't be there, but it's because perhaps it's saying this is new. So what serves me is start having conversations with myself. This is uncomfortable because I don't want to do it, or because I can recognize there's a fear in me. And then you can have the conversation. So the conversation is not it feels right or feels wrong. No, the conversation is it feels right or feels uncomfortable. And if it feels uncomfortable, it's because it's unfamiliar or because I really don't want to do it. So you became aware. And the other thing is that when you go to intuition, and for me intuition is the soul language, is the way that our soul communicates with us, and it can see in different forms. For example, it can be with symbols, it can come from other people's perspective, and you hear things and you start connecting, okay, this is my soul communicating with me. I ask a question, this is good for me, like I really want to do it, or it's not a moment for it. And your soul is gonna let you know, but you need to start opening those channels as well. If you meditate, you can ask like, okay, I want to know if this is the right moment for this or not. And you will receive the message and you will receive it in your body. So it's opening yourself to other ways to communicate with your soul. And you just have to experiment it because it's not the same for everyone. So if something is happening in your life or something is coming up in your thoughts or in your feeling, is because you are ready to transcend it and to walk that path. Your soul is never going to show you something that you are not ready to handle. But usually what happens is that we resist. No, I don't want that. I don't want. So you resist. And what happens? You block. You block abundance, you block the gifts, you block the learnings, you block the opportunities because you are resisting life. But when you say, okay, this is happening, okay, life, what do you have for me in this moment? This is feeling uncomfortable, but what do you have in this situation? What can I learn?
So it sounds like the nervous system can be a very powerful channel to hear yourself, but also your biggest blocker if you don't do the work to regulate yourself. And if I'm hearing correctly, the first step to that is the awareness of what is happening. Then you can go into how do you make sense of it, and then you can make the decision.
Yeah. And I think in life it's not gonna be so linear, like you're gonna go and back and forth and back. But that's life, For me, life is about stretching your capacity, going to the edge. Because sometimes you feel things are not for you, but if you go beyond that mental limit, then you're stretching your capacity. And as well with your nervous system is used to sustain you in certain ways or situation, but when you go out of those situations, then your nervous system is going to feel uncomfortable, but not because necessarily it's not for you, but because you are getting into the unknown. And that unknown is unknown. You are only going to know it once you go there. And then if it doesn't give you the results that you were expecting, then it means it's not for you. Because life is always going to give you what you need, not what you want. Be radical honest with yourself. If you're saying no to yourself because you are in fear, or because you are truly saying no to yourself because it doesn't feel aligned. And that conversation, you only can have it with yourself. Why I'm taking this decision? Because I really want it? Because it really doesn't feel aligned? Or there's fear? So start being real with yourself and start getting connected with your intention. What is your intention when you are doing the things? And then you become super aware and super real with the situations that you are living in.
I think this is human nature. We do seek outside support for things, and there is a time and a place for that support. So how do you differentiate then between when you need the support of the coach, of the mentor, of the friends and the family, of whatever that is external to you, and when you need to, as you said, be real with yourself?
When you start having a real relationship with yourself, you are now in your adult role. I'm not the child that wants to scream, that wants to be a victim. I'm having a true, honest relationship with myself because I just decided that I'm gonna create that relationship with myself. And then there are moments in life when you created a problem, because who creates problem? Your own mind. And you can't solve your problems with the same mind that created that problem. So when you are stuck with something, you are with a tunnel view of the situation. And in that moment, it's really beautiful to decide to whom you're gonna go to open that perspective. But have in mind that it's not because they are gonna give you the answer. They are just gonna give you possibilities. And then your adult is going to connect with which possibilities feel the ones you want to really follow. So honesty, then having a moments where you want to open your perspective. And I think the third thing is really important is discernment. So a lot of things happen in the outside, but you also have to be in mind which ones are you going to buy it, which ones feel correct. I have also been in places with my coaches that they say something that doesn't feel true for me. And that doesn't mean that is wrong or the way they are seeing it is bad. It just only means it's not for me. It doesn't resonate for me. And how do I know that? Because I can discern. I can say, okay, I see your point. And I love that it's true for you, but it's not necessarily something I want to follow. But thanks, because you show me that's a possibility. If something happens, I can go back to it, to try it. And I think it's also really important to be real again with your relationship. And this is a tricky moment, because when you start connecting to yourself to create your own honest and loving relationship with yourself, you're gonna disconnect with some relationships you have, or you're gonna disconnect in some dynamics of relationships you have. And I remember feeling it like, I don't belong with my friends anymore. With my partner, he was super scared. I was super scared because I was changing a lot, and he was saying, I don't know how to handle this moment. But when you start realizing that it's just an invitation to let go of the old, to clean what you really don't want in your life, and to transform dynamics. This moment doesn't mean that you have to get rid of every person that is in your life. It just means that dynamic perhaps is going to change. So I start saying, okay, there are some friends that I love for this, some other friends that I love for this. I want to have this type of conversations with my family, with my partner. I want to create this new relationship where he can get to know me and I can get to know him from this new perspective. So it's not that it works or it doesn't work, because we're again in the black and white world. And actually, there's a lot of colors in between. But the intention and the guide that helped me through was, I want to create beautiful, honest, and safe relationships. This feels like one? No. Okay. What perhaps needs to be changed in order for it to feel like this? No, it never is gonna feel like this. Okay. Perhaps it's just a person that I'm gonna know, and that's okay. Or this has to change. Okay, that requires conversations, uncomfortable conversations. Like, this is how I feel. This is what I believe. And that also requires you to step on your adult and this authentic version of yourself and start sharing it with the world. Because it's not, I'm going to have a beautiful relationship with myself. But to the world, I'm just going to keep being the same Sofía. And when someone says something I don't believe anymore, or I don't want it for my reality, then I'm just going to, no. How can I stand by this new version of myself? And how can I share it with the people? And some people are not gonna like it. Some people are gonna feel super intrigued and like, oof, I love this version of you. But again, you just walk the path. You are not gonna know it beforehand. You're just gonna know it once you get to know yourself and once you choose to share yourself with the world. And you're only going to feel it when you connect it. And probably if you or the people that are hearing this conversation can close their eyes and just connect, okay, a moment where I have been really true to myself and I have been able to share it to the world. Perhaps you have been doing it in other moments of your life. It's just that you haven't been so aware. So now it's how can I be aware that this is what I want and start doing it from that.
I'm glad you added that layer of nuance when it comes to relationship dynamics, because I've been noticing a lot of cancel culture coming up in relationships. People stop talking to their parents, or in friendships or professional relationships even. And it sounds like, yes, it is possible that you have to distance yourself or even end certain relationships, but you can't outsource alignment. You have to figure it out within first and work with those dynamics to then make decisions, as opposed to what it feels like happens a lot of times. People are just looking for the solution. They want to end the relationship. They want to make the decision. They want to quit the job. They want to make drastic change without doing the inside work first.
For me, what I have realized is if you don't learn whatever you need to learn from that relationship, from that situation, from that particular moment, then it's going to keep repeating in your life because life wants you to learn it. So you can say, okay, I don't want to have anything else to do with my parents. That is a possibility. And perhaps in a moment of distance, you're going to need it. But you can also say, okay, they are my parents. They are part of me. We are 50% our mother, 50% our father. How can I reprogram the way I see them? Because what they did, they didn't do it to me, but what the things that happened, we chose them because we need to learn from them. So for me, it has been really simple and more light to receive life, receive the learnings, receive people. And from that, then reprogram the way I see them. And I think there's something really beautiful in the way, for example, I approach to ancestral healing. Because a lot of times you feel, no, I'm the black sheep or the rainbow sheep, and that means that I am the outsider. So you think you need to go out to find your belonging. But the world is gonna be still there. Either way, you're gonna find the world again. So if you keep distancing, you're always gonna run away. And the thing is, how can I really be myself with the world that is around me and sustain myself in what I believe, in what feels right with the world around me? And how can I invite the world to be part of what I think, what I feel, what I like or what I don't like? And perhaps how can I let go of the ones that don't see it? We are not here to convince people. And I think that was something really important for me to learn, because at the beginning I was really frustrating myself because I wanted people and my friends, my family, my partner to see the life how I see it. And it was really liberating for me to say, okay, I don't need to convince them. I just need to show them that this is my way. If there are things that you like, please take them. Please implement it for yourself. But there are things you are not gonna see them. And that's okay. And that's something that I need to get and own and say, okay, this is uncomfortable for me because I want something for you. But you are the one guiding your life. You are the one that knows what's best for you, not me. And how can we still be in relationship with that versions of ourselves? And also when you do ancestral healing, so you think you need to get out of this system, the family system, but actually what I recommend is to connect with your system, honor what has happened. They are not bad. They just live the life that corresponded to them. And you are living the life that corresponds you. So honor them, be grateful to them, and also receive the resources and all the potential they have so you can unlock the family system. You know, you are not getting out of it. You are being part of it, and you are also recognizing, honoring, and choosing to be part of it, because you are part of it. If you keep running out of it, then that energy of running or feeling worse or whatever low vibration that is there is going to keep following you. Once you say, okay, I'm part of this, this is the reality, but not because there's something wrong. That was the life, and how can we accept it and transcend it?
It sounds like what you're saying is that either way, we can't outrun it. And if you do try to change without being aligned with why you're making that change, it will replicate itself in another situation in your life. Have you had an experience in your own life where that's happened, where you thought you were making a decision that was in alignment, whereas you were actually maybe running from something?
I think that it can still happen to me, but I'm now super aware when I'm lying to myself, And this like dissonance, cognitive dissonance, like, you don't want it, but you are just lying to yourself. Like, I can recognize it super easy right now. And there are some times that I just give in into that, like, oh, yes, but I still want to be dramatic, or I still want to choose it. And that's fine. It's not that you start saying, no, I always have to be illuminated. I always have to. No, there are sometimes like we are humans. That's why we're living this life, because we are spiritual beings living a human life. We have been disconnecting from ourselves, from our true essence long enough, or you choose to be a materialist or you choose to be an spiritual, but you can have both. Right now, the new paradigm and the new humanity is saying to us, you don't have to choose. We are both. There are moments where your ego is gonna guide you. There are moments where your soul is gonna guide you. Just be aware in which one you are. It's not, one is not good and the other one is not bad. It's just different forms of relating to yourself. Just choose and see what happens to you, but choose in a way that you are really honest with yourself why you are doing what you are doing. And when you are honest with yourself, then you are free, because you are not telling yourself a story that's not true. You are telling the story that is true. So, for example, there are some times in motherhood that I just wanna scream and say awful things, and there are some times that I am that, that the rage just gets into me and I scream. And then I start saying to myself, that's okay, Sofía. You are this as well. You're human. And you have difficult moments where it's more challenging to relate with your anger. That's okay. Then you feel more light, because you are not judging yourself with the should be. And the should be can be in the spiritual realm or in the material realm, because you shouldn't be thinking about money. You shouldn't be this kind of mother. You shouldn't, but also in the spiritual realm. You shouldn't be egocentric. You shouldn't be feeling your emotion, and it doesn't matter if it's in the spiritual realm or in the material world. You are bringing the old into the new. So actually it's not new. It's just more of the same, but with a new name. So for me, when I see myself in motherhood being a real mom, which is just also human, which also get annoyed, which also is furious, it's like, okay, I can see this part of me. Like, I see you, I recognize you, and I also can go to Noah and say, I'm sorry. Mommy is also learning to manage and to transcend her emotions. I'm also learning, and I'm learning with you, so I'm sorry. And sometimes my head says, you're always saying sorry to Noah. And then my soul says, okay, yes, but at least he's gonna learn how to repair. And for me, that's huge. Because I started learning how to repair when I was 30 years old. Before that, for me, it was super difficult to say sorry. Right now, I know how to repair. And that has taken me practice, and I'm learning through Noah as well that. And it doesn't always feel good, but it feels real, it feels human, and it also allows me to recognize that part of me. So when we recognize that we are both, then the experience feels incompletion, because it's not that I need to choose. I'm both. And how can I go through these moments where I can recognize in which moment I am and in which moments I want to be? If I want to be guided by my ego, yes, choose it if you want, but recognize where you are at, and be true.
It makes me feel a lot better that even you, who has done so much work on yourself, still has moments where you have to catch yourself or you recognize that you're not perfect. Because as you said, we start to should on ourselves, a therapist friend of mine once said. And that only stops us from growing. So it's selfishly nice for me to hear that you are also human and that we all have experienced these moments, and that by accepting it, we can then make other decisions, which might be better, which might be worse, but at least they're more conscious.
It's really important, that thing you just said, and is don't idealize other people, because then you're gonna start falling into shoulds. I should be like her. I should think like her. I should. And whenever you are in your life in shoulds, you are in more of the same. Whenever you are in this feels right for me, then you are connecting with whatever is true. But be aware of the shoulds and just choose if you want to be in the should, or you want to be in, I want something different for myself.
Yeah. If you're going to do it consciously.
And that's the intention. Then you go in alignment with the intention. I'm with the intention of doing in this way. And then it's real. It's real because you are saying what you really feel, and you are also recognizing that you don't know how to do it differently. And then you decide which help you want to choose. If it's a therapist, a coach, a mentor, a family, a friend, whatever, choose it.
So for someone who is new to this whole concept of discernment, even understanding what their values and beliefs are, hearing their own intuition, what would be your recommendation of where to start?
I would feel that the starting point will be recognizing your current reality. And be true to yourself if this reality feels expansive and feels like the one you want to sustain for many, many years more, or it feels a reality that does not belong anymore to you. And decide to have an honest relationship with yourself. Because when you decide to have an honest and loving and true relationship and conscious relationship with yourself, then you start asking yourself the questions. And for me, that would be the first. Ask yourself questions that perhaps you are not being honest enough with yourself to ask. And I think the first step, once you realize in what moment you are, and if the answer is, I want more, then open to that, like receiving more. Receiving from people, from new codes, from books, from whatever that comes into your field. And once you open your mind to, I want more, you have to come with the body, because the body needs to feel it true. If you just only leave it in your mind, then you're gonna have a lot of new thoughts, like, I know that life is in my favor, but whenever life is giving me something, I just feel like it's not in my favor, not in my mind. My mind knows it. I know life is in my favor, but my body feels, why the fuck are you giving me this? Like, I don't want this. Then your body is not there. And Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this state where your mind and your body is in alignment and in coherence. So the first thing usually happens is you open your mind to new knowledge, but your body needs to follow you. Otherwise, you are gonna keep auto-sabotaging your life, because your mind knows it, but your reality is not gonna change. So I think it's super important that you also do nervous system work, somatic work, let your body talk. Your body has a lot of memory, reprogramming, to connect with these new possibilities in a more deep realm. So if we keep having the same results we always have had, is because we are still actioning or living through our nervous system wounds or past traumas. Be honest with yourself, what you want for you. Open your mind to new knowledge, and let your body follow these new things in order for you to evidence in your reality that things can be different.
So it sounds like the work starts from the inside out and not the outside in, whether the outside is a decision that needs to be made, an action that needs to be taken, or a circumstance that needs to be changed.
When I work with the reprogramming, this means that reality doesn't have to be different. Your relationship with reality, your relationship with that perspective is what changes. So I don't feel a victim anymore of my parents. I can see they are humans that live their life that they needed to live in order for me to choose to recognize them, to honor them, and to heal whatever needs to be healed, liberate whatever to need be liberated. And my parents didn't change. The way they think didn't change. My perspective from them changed. And then they are gonna start saying like, okay, this way and this way of relating with Sofia is different, and the dynamic change, so the reality then changes, so the perspective changes and then the reality is gonna change, but the reality doesn't have to change in order for you to change.
If you could give your younger self some advice, knowing everything that you know now, what would you tell Sofia?
I think I would tell her everything is perfect, everything is fine, everything will be fine. Just let yourself live the life, Don't resist to anything. Just accept the life, accept the learnings, accept the opportunities, and you will feel more free. Because whatever you resist will persist. So just stop resisting to life and let life go through you and live from that. Everything is in your favor, even though you don't feel it, you don't see it. Life is always conspiring in your favor. God is always holding your back. God loves us. I think that Sofia, a younger version, felt a lot of guilt, for example, for the privilege, for the life she had. And for me has been really beautiful to connect and to see that life is perfect. There's no such events as bad or wrong, even though our human minds won't understand them. But everything that is happening in the world is because we still need it. We are still learning how to love each other, how to see, accept that each person is in the path that is what it corresponds to that person, to stop feeling pity for other person. Like when you feel pity, you are also connecting to the victim in that person, and that person is choosing their own path. They're also learning from it, and that person is in your path, allowing you to see that, because it's allowing you to connect to forgiveness, with compassion, with generosity, with love, that if it's not because that person, you wouldn't feel it anyway. So how can we connect with these high vibration states through the pain in other person, and how can also we connect with this high vibration through pleasure, through celebration, through accepting life, through stop holding back, through just giving ourselves permission to exist, because we are gifts from the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. We are gifts. That's why we are here. Everything is right in the moment that is meant to be. And we are in the moment we're supposed to be. So letting my younger self know that would be beautiful. But I also know that she wasn't ready for this. She wasn't.
Our younger selves are never have a lot of ego, typically. Myself included.
But for example, now I really think that Sofia and true Sofia, my soul, are in alignment. Even though in this world some things happen that weren't what I wanted, I know I can get through them. I will repair, I will ask forgiveness, I will learn, I will outgrow them. Like nothing will hold me back, because I know I got me, and I know the universe got me, and feels beautiful.
There's so much humility in your advice to younger Sofia, but throughout this conversation, so much wisdom. And I truly hope that anyone who needs to hear parts of this can hear and absorb even one or two of the little things you said. I know I have. So my last question is, if someone wants to work with you, if someone wants to learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
So you can find me as Sofía Paredes Chaux I have my website, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me, Sofía Paredes Chaux. My content is especially in Spanish, but it doesn't mean I can work in English. As you can see, I speak English, I can learn, I can work in English. And if anything of this resonates, but perhaps not necessarily with me, I would only say to you, just ask the universe to show you the right person, and that right person will find you as well. Whenever you are in Bogota, Colombia, I'm here, happy to meet.
Well, I'll be taking you up on that invitation for sure. And I will link all of your website, Instagram, LinkedIn in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Aisha, thank you so much.
And I am taking your advice and putting one foot in front of the other. There are no wrong decisions, as you said, trying to make as aligned decisions as possible and then letting the results be what they're going to be.